Good day, this is Greg Lewis. I'm your city manager in Lebanon, New Hampshire. I want to welcome you to the show today. We do Lebanon in depth, so it gives an opportunity for us to share information, to know more about Lebanon and more about things that are going on in Lebanon. Today, in the first part of the show, we're going to talk about some aspects of some projects and some things going on immediately in Lebanon. And then in the second part of our show, we're going to talk a little bit about human resources with our Human Resource Director, Sheila Wall. In the first part, we are right now in the heart of August, and one of those things that happens in the heart of August is there's an activities going on, and one of them is auditing. It's important for a city and for its citizens to know that the city has a firm handle on accounting for all the things that the city does with public monies. And it's very critical and very important that the city maintains very strong records on exactly what we do in terms of managing that money, because that's a public trust. You know, the city has an obligation to be a good steward. And the check and balance in here is that an independent auditing firm is selected by the city to come in and provide an audit. And the firm comes in and they camp out basically in the city. They get the full cooperation of the city financial department and other departments who have financial information. They go through and do a very comprehensive review of each and every item that we have in our financial records to make sure they're all in order. And they provide management oversight in terms of giving input into our financial department, into our other departments, and to myself as city manager. When they see things, if they see things that we can do better, if they see things that we need to tweak a little bit. And in some jurisdictions, if there's an issue that they encounter where there is some need for improvement, they will issue findings. These findings are formal judgments by them that certain things exist and these need to be corrected. They go through this process. It's very intense. It takes a significant amount of time. And at the culmination of it, they provide an audit report. And the audit report is made to the Lebanon City Council in formal session, open session, that's televised. It's filmed by our friends here at CATV. And they will describe what they have found. I have with me today for our show, I have the audit report. It's right here. As you can see, this report is a very in-depth type of report. It's in terms of the length, it has close to 60 pages. The aspects of this report are that it's an annual financial report. It's the independent auditor. This is Plozak and Sanderson. I might have messed that first name up, but this firm is, they're CPAs. They're professional accountants and auditors. They do provide audits for other jurisdictions as well. They were selected through a proper process of request for qualifications. They put together this report, and I'm just going to highlight a few aspects of it for you, because I think of citizens, I think you have to appreciate that there is persons very carefully making sure your property tax dollars, your public dollars, are accounted for and maintained in a fiduciary way. They note in the beginning of the report, they note and discuss a little bit in their analysis. They provide some financial highlights, like at the close of the most recent fiscal year of the city, the total net assets of the city exceeded its liabilities by $97 million, $97,860,550. That's a net increase of about 1.5 million, or percentage-wise about 1.6%. So the net assets of the city, which are our public assets, are being maintained in a fiduciary manner. The government funds reported a combined ending fund balance of $27,333,122. That's of which 27.4% of it, that's about 7.5 million, is available for spending. It's important that you have this available because it's kind of the safety net for our public enterprise of a city. You have to do this in order that you have to protect the city, protect its residents, in the financial management of the city. They go on and they talk about another set of unreserved fund balances of about $4.3 million. That is what is called a general fund unreserved fund balance. That includes contingency for property tax abatements as well. This indicator is about 7.9% of the total general fund budget. The city councils in the past here have maintained a policy objective of striving to maintain an 8% target for unreserved fund balance, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in this report. Going to this fund balance, I'd like to make a few comments about a fund balance. Why do you have one? And because why don't you just return all the money happens to taxpayers if it's not being utilized? The fund balance purpose is to ensure the continued orderly operation of government and the provision of services to residents. It has to mitigate current and future risks resulting from revenue shortfalls. As you can see, the ups and downs in the economy, the ups and downs in the changes of government and federal and state level, you know the types of ups and downs might result in revenue shortfalls. Also, you can have these unanticipated expenditures. These could be everything from an act of nature that might suddenly inflict something on our city to an unforeseen man-made situation that would cause unforeseen need for expenditures that weren't in the budget. It has to also do with the financial impacts of the prior year expenditures in case some of those change. It needs to address this fund balance is to address variations in cash flow. We really need to have cash flow and make sure we're secure on that, because if a jurisdiction doesn't have enough of these resources in the reserves for fund balance, what happens is jurisdictions start doing this short-term borrowing, where they borrow short-term in order to make their cash flow meet. Which was something we prefer not ever to do. We would prefer to try to keep away from that sort of thing. This is also to provide a contingency if there's unexpected capital expenditures, and if there's any errors in revenue or expenditure estimations. It provides a tax rate stabilization opportunity. You want to have a stable city. We want the city to be in a place where we don't have spikes, we don't have valleys. And this part of the audit revealed that the city is on point toward its target. We're striving to it, and we're led by some strong policymakers who want us to make sure that we achieve it. Overall, there were some comments about the report at the conclusion of it, and this is what the summary of the report is. The summary is that the audit report expresses an unqualified opinion on the financial statement. So there was no qualifications in the opinion they rendered, that what they had was based on what they reviewed. It was accurate. It was based on what they reviewed. That's a strong statement. There's no qualifications in their statements of recommendations or judgments. There were no material weaknesses identified relating to internal control or financial reporting. Internal control is very important. We have to have internal control, checks and balances. We got to make sure that there's a lot of good oversight and that it comes from multiple different directions. So the city made the goal there. There was no significant deficiencies identified that were not considered material weaknesses relating to internal control. So there was no deficiencies in that area about internal control. There was no instances of noncompliance in terms of the materials in the financial statements, so we're in compliant. And he also noted that with regard to federal awards, there was no material weaknesses with regard to federal awards. There was no significant deficiencies identified that were material weaknesses that related to internal control of federal major programs, because the city receives federal funding as well as state funding. So all that was in order. They ended by concluding the city of Lebanon was determined to be a low-risk auditee, which basically is that the city of Lebanon's is accounting for itself and maintaining very crisp and clear and sharp accounting procedures, and they're making an accurate rendition of the use of public monies, which are basically your monies as the public. Last night, in this presentation that was provided to the city council, I made special note that this kind of free of findings, this great compliance determination here is not an accident. It's a product of a lot of hard work. And the hard work that has been done here has been by our finance director, Lynn Jarvie. It's been done by our deputy finance director and all the members of the financial department that are engaged as part of the teamwork here. It's also as a result of the financial people in our various respective departments. All our departments have people that work on finance. Our department heads provided oversight. The result is a very clean and very strong audit, and I'm real proud of them for doing that. And I think as you citizens, you ought to feel comfortable that we really got some excellent workers, excellent employees, excellent leaders in the area of our financial accountability. So I was really pleased that's a happy occasion, and I want us to honor that. The second thing I wanted to pick up today is going about bridges. In our area now, if those of you like myself, we live in West Leb. And in West Leb, we all notice quickly that there's a couple bridges that are currently over the Connecticut River. Actually, they look kind of strange because they're up against each other. And what's going on there is there's a bridge replacement program going on. And this new bridge will be a very, very solid and sound bridge. The Department of Transportation of New Hampshire came and presented to the people at the City Council and the other night, and they're going to come to West Leb, and we're going to try and organize a meeting where West Leb people, through some of the West Leb organizations and business people, residents in this area, residents around here who utilize that bridge, can make some comments, because they're looking at comments in a couple areas. As the bridge is finalized, they're looking at how the design of the contours of the bridge should be along the railings. What kind of railings should we have? I mean, you know how beautiful the river is, but there are safety factors involved, so there's going to be some balancing between safety factors and aesthetics and just being able to enjoy going across the bridge and looking at the river. Also, there's pedestrian traffic that's going to be going across that bridge, and how is that going to traverse the bridge? How is that going to interrelate with the traffic and the railing? Another important aspect is the lights. Are there going to be lights on the bridge? A standard bridge would have a standard railing, and they would have no lights. I guess the direction we have right now is that we want them to put in conduit, which is basically do a setup so there might be lights, and then make a determination at a subsequent time as to whether there will be lights. But they're going to be looking for input on having lights, and if so, what type of lights should they have? And I think the important on the lighting aspect, it would be at city cost. So it would be something we would have to have a program out of capital reserves, or we might have other means of a CIP program to do that. So be aware of that and keep an eye on that. And if you want to see any input to me as city manager on lights on that bridge or on the type of railing on that bridge, please do. Please do. It's an important historical development. There's going to be a couple really nice things about it. There's going to be an historical marker they're going to put on the bridge. It's going to be very nice and recognize the historical nature of the bridge. There's also going to be basically a platform where they're going to describe the bridge and the history of it, and that'll be down toward the park area. So those are a couple really nice developments, positive things. Positive audit, positive developments. Bridge is coming, and I hope you get involved in that. You'll hear more over the next few months about franchise. as we close this segment, we'll be talking about franchise. The council has authorized that in terms of their general discussion that I'm going to explore franchise further. There's an attorney I'll be working with in seeing if we're going to be able to retain him. We have to contact Comcast and on behalf of the city and see if they'd be willing to sit down and work with us on a new franchise for our city. So with that, I think we're hopping along here toward the end of the summer, and we'll see you in the next segment. Thanks a lot.